Well, it's October, guys, and that means it's spooky season. So to kick off the month, I wanted to talk about one of Capcom's many forgotten series, Dino Crisis. Stop me if you've heard this one before. A special forces team is stuck in an isolated area, being stalked and attacked by monsters. They have to unravel the mystery of where those monsters came from, what happened to the people in the place they find themselves in, and find a way to escape from this nightmare. Gameplay consists of fixed camera angles and tank controls to get around. Sound familiar? Despite sharing a large amount of similarities with Resident Evil, and being made by the same team, Dino Crisis stood apart from its older brother in a few ways. The first was the in-game graphics, with Dino Crisis using full 3D backgrounds instead of pre-rendered backgrounds like the RE series. Inventory management was also different in this game, as in the RE games you had a limited amount of item slots, usually starting with 6, and constantly had to juggle ammo, health items, and key items, storing any extras you had in an item box in a save room. But in Dino Crisis, key items don't take up any inventory slots, and you'll have 10 regular item slots too. And instead of a set item box that you find in save rooms, random areas in the game will have a green, red, or yellow emergency box. Green boxes store medical supplies, red store ammo, and yellow holds both, the boxes requiring a certain number of plugs in order to open them. Similar to the item boxes from Resident Evil, boxes of the same color share the same inventory, so you can store your health items in a green box in one area, and find it in a different green box later. Unlike Resident Evil, you don't need ink ribbons or some other resource in order to save your progress either. You just exit a safe room, and it'll prompt you to save. It feels a bit awkward though, especially if you're running from room to room. I think a computer or item you can interact with would have been a way better way to prompt a save. Death is also a little more forgiving compared to Resident Evil. If you do end up dying, you use up a continue and end up reviving in the last room you were in. After using up all 5 continues, you have to restart from your last save. The combat remains the same from Resident Evil, with a few different weapon types and different ammo types. Ammo can be hard to come by, the dinosaurs you run into soaking up a lot of bullets depending on the gun you're using, so usually it's better to run away from them than to actually fight them. However, unlike zombies, the raptors you run into can follow you into other rooms, so you're not always safe if you manage to get away. The game starts on a helicopter, on its way to Ibis Island, carrying the members of SORT, the secret operation raid team. They've received a report from one of their own who went undercover as a researcher on the island. He's discovered that Dr. Edward Kirk, who reportedly died in an accident 3 years ago, is on the island and is leading a secret weapons project. A world-renowned scientist in energy research, their mission is to find him alive and bring him into custody. Parachuting onto the island, the 4 of them, three of them begin their search. You'll play as intelligence operative and weapons specialist Regina, joined by team leader Gale and electronics expert Rick. Regina continues Capcom's tradition of strong female characters after Jill Valentine and Claire Redfield, and many others. In comparison to them, she's a lot less serious despite the danger she's in, barely fazed when running into a dinosaur or dead body, and tends to joke around a lot with her peers.
Let me guess. This is some of your handiwork, right?
The brass is still warm. These guards were shooting at something very recently.
So who were they fighting?
This wasn't much of a fight. I don't think these guards hit anything before getting sliced and diced. Whatever they were shooting at came in through there, and ripped right through the steel fence.
Well, the hole is nice and clean. But I still say you could have done this.
Very funny.
When you land on the island, Gale will take notice of the lack of guards anywhere. Heading towards the facility, the group spreads out, Rick heading towards the control room, Gale trying to find out what happened to the guards, and Regina tasked with locating Dr. Kirk. After finding a key and returning where they first arrived, Regina will run down the area and bump into Gale, who's found what's left of one of the guards.
That's disgusting.
This guy's been eviscerated. Something tore his intestines straight out.
Jesus, Regina, this poor schlub has been torn to pieces and that's all you've got to say? I mean, it's refreshing to see a female character not afraid or cowering, but she acts like dudes being torn limb by limb is a normal everyday thing to her. After this scene, you'll have a quick puzzle where you have to rearrange batteries to start up the backup generator. After it's on, you'll hear hissing and gunfire outside. Running out, Regina finds a hole in the metal fence and Gale missing. Hearing more hissing, she's soon ambushed by a velociraptor. Unlike zombies, these fuckers are huge. can chase you down quickly and soak up a lot of bullets. Depending on the situation and how big the area is, it's usually better to get past them and run away when necessary. After going back to the original area, Regina gets a call from Rick, who has the control room up and running. She explains the situation and heads over to meet him in person. They go over the situation again, Rick wanting to bail on the mission but being unable to because Cooper, you know, this guy, had the radio so they can't call for an extraction team. Regina decides to do a sweep of the ground floor to search for Dr. Kirk, while Rick helps out with the shutters. Leaving the control room and going back the way we came, you can enter the management room. Here you can grab the shotgun, find a dead guy, and a digital disc key. These keys usually come in pairs and are required to unlock most doors. Considering how spread out they can be and that you have to still use a password on the doors anyways, is it any wonder people started getting killed? Leave the management room and the shutters/laser fence thing can finally be disabled. Turning around, you immediately bump into another raptor. Run past into the locker room and grab a DDK card on top of the lockers. The dino will burst in, and after a quick skirmish, run back into the hall and unlock the lasers to go to the main entrance. Despite the ominous music and its huge size, this whole area is actually pretty safe. Head outside and search the corpse on the ground for another DDK card. Back inside and up the stairs, you'll encounter another raptor and use the cards to enter the chief researcher's room. You'll find him heavily injured inside. He blames Kurt for everything that happens before handing you a panel key card and then dying. Grab another DDK card behind his desk and unlock the metal case with the 2 panel cards to receive key card L. Before leaving the room though, you'll get your first encounter with the T-Rex. He bursts through the window and eats the researcher's corpse. I guess Cooper wasn't enough for him. This fight's unwinnable, and the T-Rex is able to one-shot you if you get too close to his mouth. You can shoot him a few times to shoo him away, or get lucky and run past him. Once done with him, head back to the main entrance and take the back door. Rick will call to give you your next destination, saying he spotted human life signs somewhere in the facility. Keep going through the area, and you'll end up trapped between 2 raptors, which you can easily run through. Not so clever girls after all. In the lecture room, you'll find a key to the backup generator and get ambushed by a ceiling raptor. You'll get a prompt reading danger on the screen and have to mash buttons in order to survive. Essentially, this was QTEs before Resident Evil 4 made them popular, and Resident Evil 6 ran them into the ground. Survive the proto QTE, and the raptor will get lit up by bullets. Looks like Gale survived his encounter with the last raptor. After catching up, he heads for the control room, and you need to make your way back to the starting area. Using the BG key to unlock the gate, go underground, and do another battery puzzle to start the generator. Rick will radio you again and ask you back to the control room. Once you get there, Rick and Gale will get into an argument about what to do next. Gale wants to stick to the mission and go after a potential survivor they spotted on the cameras, thinking it's Dr. Kirk. Rick, on the other hand, wants to answer the distress signal they received, thinking it might be Cooper. It's not. Or Tom, the guy who went in undercover as a researcher. You'll now have the option on who to side with and what to do next. There isn't a right choice exactly, it just changes the objective of the mission, so go whichever way you want. I side with Gale and go after him, following him down into the basement and into the medical wing. Here you'll encounter a new dinosaur, the Compsognathus, a group of them eating a dead raptor. They are those little dinosaurs from the opening of the second Jurassic Park movie. There isn't anything special to them, you can run past them easily or take them out with a single bullet. Grab an ID card from the medical room next to them, and then meet up with Gale again. You won't get to chat long though, as Gale spots Dr. Kirk and then runs after him, the shutter coming down to separate the two of you. You'll have to use the elevator in order to get back to him. Backtrack and make your way to the main entrance, and then to the hallway where the control room is. You can disable the lasers now to enter the strategy room. Here you'll find the FC device, that lets you take a person's fingerprint to override an ID card. Make your way back to the elevator room and grab the fingerprint off the corpse in here. Going down the hallway and into the office, rewrite the ID card. Go back towards the starting area, and Rick will radio you that he was too late to save Tom, though this only happens if you sided with Gale. You'll have to take the south gate now, run past a couple more raptors, and then...
Dude, what is that? Is that a pterodactyl?
I do not know what that is.
You'll get attacked by a pterodactyl, and disarmed too. Grab your gun and run away, and enter the elevator control room. You'll find what's left of Tom, R.I.P. Tom. Run into more pterodactyls, and then go down into the power room. Solve the puzzle to power it up, head upstairs, and get into another dangerous scenario. Slap the buttons on the controller, and toss that bastard into a giant fan. Go back to the original area, and now that the power is working, turn on the big elevator and go down into the basement. I hate this part a bit because it feels like Capcom made it more complicated than necessary. You'll have to control a crane and move these containers out of the way. But you have to use these cards that only let you control the crane in a limited amount of moves, like it's Yu-Gi-Oh or something. Once you clear a path, Run all the way back to the elevator room, finally going down to where you separated from Gale. Fight or run from the raptor hanging out in here, and use another DDK card to get into the lab area. Run down the hall, dodge some more raptors, and end up in the computer room. Not much to do in here yet, so keep moving through and into the research meeting room to grab a few things. At the end, you'll find a gas room with a researcher trapped inside. You'll have to neutralize the gas to get to him, but aren't required to save him. But you get an extra item if you do. Mix some gas, talk to him, and get the key chip card from him. And then he dies anyways. Oh well. You'll get jumped by another raptor, and can trap him in the gas room. You can leave him be, or gas him to death if you want. Gassing him's more fun. Run back into the hallway and enter the library, doing another puzzle to unlock a locker. You can grab some parts for your handgun, and open the locker to get the key card R. Head back into the computer room, examine the monitor in the center of the room, and you'll trigger a cutscene where Regina calls Gale in order to swipe both key cards at the same time. Thankfully this isn't a puzzle and it's just a cutscene. Both of you will swipe the cards, and Regina can proceed through, stopping after seeing some weird energy thingy pop up. Turns out it's a hologram that explains what third energy is. I didn't go over it before, but third energy is the science that explains why there are dinosaurs running around. Essentially, it goes like this. Oil is the first energy, which in this timeline is already running low. Second energy is nuclear power, which isn't all that clean, and has its own problems. Dr. Kirk proposed the idea of third energy, a truly clean and infinite energy source. The way it works seems to be that it takes energy from the past in order to power things in the present. The last third energy experiment punched a hole in space and time, shifting time and moving dinosaurs from their original timeline to the present. It's super weird and confusing, but it gives an interesting explanation for dinosaurs instead of the genetic engineering from Jurassic Park. After searching the room, you don't find any signs of Dr. Kirk, and returning to Gale sets off an alarm, trapping you both in the room. Grab a screwdriver and hack the console, and the two of you are free. That part felt a little pointless because there wasn't really a timer or anything, or gas, so I don't know, felt a little fillerish. Like before, you'll have to choose between Gale and Rick's method. Gale's way needing you to backtrack through some dinosaur-infested areas, and Rick's way letting you sneak through the vents, but having to type in passwords along the way. Because the raptors are so easy to get around, I sided with Gale again, running through any dinosaurs that popped up, and making my way back to the crane area. Finding Gale and Dr. Kurt when I get there, getting some info out of him, you shake him down for his elevator card, and head back to the control room and up the elevator. You'll end up in the antenna room, activating it so you can send a message to the outside. Once you leave the room, you'll be attacked by the T-Rex again, and man, this part feels cheap. You have to start sprinting almost immediately, getting to the end of the walkway and towards the door at the end. It's locked, so you'll have to fight him off, but if you step too close, he'll one-shot you. I died a few times here since I screwed up running when it swapped camera angles, and again when I couldn't figure out what was or wasn't too close to him. After emptying most of my shotgun into him, Rick's dumbass finally unlocks the door, and Regina can escape. She'll finally be able to send out a distress call and put in a request for a rescue chopper. You'll have to make your way back to the main entrance and bump into some pterodactyls again. Run past them as best as you can, avoid the ambushes by more raptors, and end up in the hangar. It's safe here, and you just have to move these boxes out of the way to get to the next area. You'll run into Rick and Dr. Kirk just as the helicopter arrives. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
That's odd. Something must have those animals spooked.
Whoops. Anyways, time for a boss battle. Like the last few times, the T-Rex still can't be killed here. You have to buy time running away from it in circles until Rick fixes the elevator. It's a bit easier than the last fight, if only because the T-Rex can't one-shot you, and you're fast enough to outrun it if you're circling around the helicopter wreckage. Once the elevator is fixed, run the hell out of there and join Rick on the elevator down. Almost immediately, it breaks down, and the two of you will have to find another way out. After a quick run through the area, you'll find another key card and read some documents hinting that there may be a different way off the island. Get onto the second elevator and descend into the basement area. The main generator doesn't work as one of the batteries powering it got smashed, so time to find a new one. Take the side area and grab the spare battery, returning to Rick who pops it in and turns on the power. Follow him into the next room and he'll get to work hacking the doors in the next area. Entering the general weapons area, you'll find a researcher, or half of one anyways, and get jumped by a new dinosaur, a Therizinosaurus. These guys are basically buffed raptors, dealing more and soaking up more damage. In fact, unless you're using grenade round or darts, it's better to run than to fight. This bastard will knock Regina on her ass and break the chain holding a container above her, causing another QTE where you need to dodge the falling container. After that, run up the ladder to escape this guy, and solve the crane puzzle to move the container out of the way, getting to the researcher's body and grabbing a DDK card off of him. Make it back to where the main generator is and take the other door now. Running past another pair of Therizinosaurus, Regina finds another corpse, unlocks the DDK door, and runs into another pair of these bastards. Fuck these guys. I'm gonna skip ahead here as it's just more card finding shenanigans. After a bit, you'll find Gale in the researcher's resting room, and after catching up for a bit, he goes off to search for Kirk. Heading back into the hallway, and in the other direction, Regina gets ambushed by a new dinosaur, Blue Raptors. There isn't really anything special to them other than the color change, just a little more durable than your average raptor. More key card grabbing shenanigans, I'll lock the way towards the port, and meet up with Rick again. He says it'll take some time before he can open the door to the port, just as the radio on the dead guy goes off, his buddy on the other line letting you know he has a key to the port. How convenient. Head back to the big elevator to hear some chomping sounds, and an old friend stepping off the lift. He tries to take a bite out of the generator and gets electrocuted. Well, that was a bit anticlimactic. Sure glad we don't have to deal with that guy again. Take the battery out of the main generator, plop it back into the backup generator, and open the gate to the elevator. Sadly, the radio guy and his buddies did not make it. They will be missed. After lifting the port key off his corpse, head back to Rick and you can head towards the port. Lol, just kidding. There's some kind of portal blocking your way, so your next task is to figure out how to get rid of it. After some more keycard shenanigans, Regina makes it into the third energy area. This is the big machine that brought the dinosaurs into the present. Before you can use it to cancel out the vortex though, you need the stabilizer and initializer for the machine. Searching around, you'll find a woman who's unconscious and dying, and you don't help her? Okay, this really bugged me. The way you inspect the body and it zooms in on her face kinda made me think you were going to get a prompt to help her, but no, nothing. She's just slowly dying. Like what? I've been running around most encounters at this point. Can I just use a medkit on her? Why have her slowly dying and not just be another corpse? It's just so weird. Whatever, reroute the power to the third energy machine and try turning it on. It won't work yet, and soon you hear gunshots. Oh no, run back to the dying lady to find out she's been murdered and got covered in shit? Seriously, it's gotta be shit. Like, she was already covered in blood. There's been blood all over the place, but in this one place it's this weird brown stuff. Like, what the fuck? What was the point? Why have her half dead and then kill her 2 seconds later? She doesn't do or say anything. It's just so pointless. Follow her killer through the back door and get held at gunpoint by Dr. Kirk. He talks some shit before Gale swoops in like a G and shoots the gun out of his hand. The two of you interrogate him and he explains how third energy works and how the dinosaurs got there. I'm not 100% sure how it's supposed to be used as a weapon. I mean, dropping dinosaurs on people sounds dope on paper, but they could easily be taken out by gunfire. Maybe Vincent D'Onofrio is the true bad guy of this game. I don't know. Kirk tells you how to overload the machine, and Rick soon shows up with plans on how to assemble the necessary parts. You'll get another choice here where you can take Gale's advice and fight through some dinosaur-infested areas to get the stabilizer and initializer, or take Rick's advice and just finding the components to make them yourself. Honestly, since it's easy to run past most dinosaurs, I side with Gale again, and run off to find the parts. Fight your way to the special weapon storage, and pick up the stabilizer and initializer. Make it back into the third energy machine, and put the two components in their proper places. Set the machine to overload, and set off an alarm and some rumblings throughout the facility. Back in Dr. Kirk's personal lab, the ceiling collapses on Gale as Kirk runs away. Whoops. Sorry about that, Gale. Regina makes it back to Gale, and he'll give her a receiver to track down Dr. Kirk's location. You can help him get back to Rick, who flops from wanting to kill Dr. Kirk to just saying fuck it and getting out of there.
Gale, what happened to him?
I don't know, but Kirk's gone.
I'm gonna kill him! This is it. All that's left is our escape. Let's go.
Wait, what about Kirk?
What about him? It's a miracle we're still alive at this point. Forget about him.
Also, what the hell are you talking about, Regina? You don't know what happened to Gale? He was pinned under a pipe. You know what happened. It was 100% your fault for turning on the machine. Anyways, despite being hurt pretty badly, Gale decides to stick to the mission and goes after Kirk again. Rick, on the other hand, wants you to stop him so the three of you can just get out together. This is your final choice, and the one that determines what ending you get. Side with Gale, he dies, and you capture Dr. Kirk, escaping with Rick on a hovercraft. Side with Rick, you knock out Gale, but ditch Dr. Kirk. However, there's a third/fourth-ish ending that you can get instead. I sided with Gale, but before chasing after him, I took a detour towards the Level A clearance door that was in the hallway with the Therizinosaurus, and enter the port transport passageway. Take the tram across and eventually discover the underground heliport, using the receiver to track down Gale and Kirk to the stabilizer room and let them know about the heliport. You'll immediately skip to the heliport, thank God, and then give Rick a call to join you. Head to the tram to meet him and uh-oh, look who's back. Fend off the T-Rex, board the helicopter, and fly the hell out of there. The T-Rex just doesn't give up though, so Rick drops a bomb on him.
He's still after us!
I'm gonna flash fry that Dino Dodo.
And finally finishes him off. Flying off into the sunset, the nightmare of the Spencer Mansion, Ibis Island, is finally over. I didn't bring this up before, and nothing in the game really hints at it, but if you manage to beat the game under 5 hours, then you unlock Operation Wipeout, basically Dino Crisis' take on Mercenaries. You'll also unlock some costumes for Regina. Nice. Dino Crisis was interesting to revisit after all these years. While it did things a lot better or more streamlined than Resident Evil, other things not so much. For example, most of the puzzles are pretty brain dead, and the majority of the game is finding key cards to get from one area to the next. Also, because most encounters are optional, I almost never got into combat. I think a few mandatory bosses that aren't the T-Rex would have made things a little better, or being unable to escape a room till you kill all dinosaurs in it or something. Though if you're a speedrunner, the optional encounters are a dream, especially since you can easily get around most dinosaurs. Also, I think a little more variety in dinosaurs would have been nice, as it's 80% raptors with barely any variation. Thankfully, this is something that's improved on in the sequel. I also like the idea of choosing different objectives throughout the game and getting multiple endings, giving a nice amount of replay value. One last nitpick I have is there's a real lack of variety in environments. I know it's a secret lab on an island, but maybe some parts where you have to go through the jungle or into some caves or something could have spiced things up. Again, this is something that's improved on in the sequel. That said, I still had fun playing Dino Crisis and wish Capcom would just give the series a reboot on the RE engine already. Thanks for watching, guys. I was sick and fell behind making this video, as I wanted to have it out a week ago. Thankfully I'm doing better now and should hopefully be able to get a few more videos out before the end of the month. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and leave a comment below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I'm Fuzzy Slippers, and I'll see you later. Peace.